Folks, this is one of the most practical knives I have ever owned. Today we're going to take a look at the Protagonist from Benchmade. There are so many awesome things going for this blade. I've used it for several months now, taken it on a multi-day backpacking trip, EDC'd it, done all sorts of different things with this blade, and I am super stoked to show you the ins and outs of this knife today and see what this blade has to offer and why I would consider it one of the most practical knives out on the market in this size range. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the Benchmade Protagonist and what it has to offer. Super fast with that one. Great grind angle, awesome. All right, I believe the action is basically spoken for itself, so I'm just gonna run through some basic specs here as we touch on the blade itself. Now we're looking at a 4.5-inch blade, fantastic, 0.12 inches thick, full tang construction. So it's going to be an 1/8 of an inch thick, 4.5 inches I think is phenomenal for basically any type of task. And that's why I think it's one of the most practical blades out there, because it's not overly built and super thick, so it doesn't cut the finer stuff very well, but it's not too thin and flimsy, you know, like under an 1/8 of an inch either. And that 4.5 inches of blade length gives you the ability to do all sorts of woodscraft, all sorts of EDC tasks, all sorts of stuff around the property, the farm, you know, the homestead, if you will, or self-defense tasks, and will give you good penetration if you are looking for more of a soldier knife. So it has all of those capabilities. Now we're looking at 154 cm steel. Benchmade has been using that steel for years. They got it dialed in. They know what they're doing with that type of steel. And it's very easy to work with out in the field. I use my Work Sharp field sharpener. You guys ask me that all the time. Links in the description below over to that particular knife system, and I can easily work with this type of blade and this type of steel with the 154 cm, USA made, you know, easy to put an edge on, rust resistant, and holds a good edge as well. You got that black coating. This is the drop point plain edge version. It does have a little bit of a clip point in there, but it's a very thick swedge back here, so you're not gonna, it's not gonna be sharp if you're doing more woodscraft style tasks, but it's still gonna give you that strength with that saber grind and that clip point for great penetration. Now the awesome thing is, on top of that, they offer several other blade shapes. You can either get this drop point with a serration, or you can get tanto plain edge, or you can get tanto serration. So there's a lot of options that they offer with this blade as well, making it, again, one of the most practical blades you'll ever be able to get your hands on because of the size, the weight that we're going to talk about in just a second, the performance, and the different blade options that they offer you. The Protagonist has it dialed in on so many levels when it comes to the blade. So a couple things that really make this knife stand out for me is not only the weight. The knife itself comes in at 4.3 ounces. Mind blown. For a 4.5-inch fixed blade with these type of materials, I mean, ultra light. And then you're looking at about 2 ounces more with all of the sheath attachments. So you're looking at like 6 ounces for a fixed blade. So that's the first great part. Second is just the sheath system. You know, you can get a great fixed blade, But if it doesn't have a really good sheath with it, then it's kind of a letdown. You got to try and figure out, am I going to send it off for custom Kydex or leather or blah, 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 and just on. And you don't maybe carry it as often because you can't attach it the way you want to. Well, Benchmade has really thought through this sheath. We're looking at a polymer-made plastic is what this is. It is totally ambidextrous. You can attach things on either side, which is fantastic. So you lefties, you're good to go. We got a drainage hole. It is Blade Tech lock compatible, so you could put your Blade Tech locks on there if you want. It comes with a MOLLE tab, and this is either vertical or horizontal, so you could attach this to PALS webbing. I actually carried it kind of on my shoulder strap for not only our backpacking, but our day hiking that we did. Fantastic. It is a great shoulder knife. So if you like carrying blades on your shoulders of your LBEs or your backpacks, this thing is phenomenal and very easy to attach that way. It also comes with a nylon back for a belt attachment. So if you want to carry it on your belt, you can carry it that way as well. I don't think it's really designed to be a belt knife, but if you like carrying it there and that's what you're looking for, fantastic. It comes with that as well. Then it comes with this bungee kind of nylon attachment right here with 2 buttons on either side. So again, the ambidextrous feature. So I could unsnap it that way, unsnap it that way, or just completely remove it altogether if I don't want to do that. We have a retention screw right here, so you can decide how loose or tight you want the sheath to be itself. Little bit of rattle, it's there, but for everything that it's offering with that great thumb ramp, and then I can deploy the blade, one of the best sheaths for a production blade that I've seen in recent memory. So fantastic. Stupid fly, it's pissing me off. Fantastic sheath, guys. I love it in every way, and I have 0 complaints with the Protagonist sheath. So folks, the price on this is very reasonable as well. You're looking at $131 basically anywhere you go. I haven't seen it for any less. Benchmade's got a really tight margin of error that they can allow the companies to sell it at, and that's a great price. We'll have links in the description below over to Amazon, so if you are interested in this version or any of the other versions, serrated, plain edge, tanto, not, you can go over there and check it out. That's always a great way to help support the channel if you are interested in the Protagonist. But for $130, I have no need to upgrade a sheath at all. I'm getting an ultra lightweight fixed blade from a company that makes premium blades with premium materials, and I like what it's offering to me in the lightweight capability. I don't really have another knife in my repertoire of systems right now that is a fixed blade in this size range with this out of the box sheath and this, I don't know, just fun to use. So it's a great lightweight backpacker, camper, day hiker fixed blade if that's what you're in the market for. Yeah, $130 is a screaming deal in my opinion, and I was more than happy to pay that for this blade. Now the handle is where it's either going to be made or broken for you. That's usually where it ends up happening with most fixed blades and most knives just in general is, are the ergonomics good? Now I'll say the ergonomics are good in almost every capacity. We're going to touch on what I think could have been improved, and you'll have to weigh whether or not it's something that's going to hold you back from purchasing the knife. Now what we are looking at is a 4.5-inch overall handle, which is great. You're going to have great real estate. I have a large size hand that I wear large size gloves, and I always share that with you guys so you can see in perspective to your hands, how well that knife would fit in yours. So I got plenty of room to spare off the back end. We got that lanyard hole, kind of a squared off pommel, so you could do some non-lethals, but you're not going to be doing any sort of glass breaking or anything like that. Then we have this little hump right here and this great guard. This is really going to lock me into place, not uncomfortable at all. Very natural feeling right there, and it's going to give me great lockup for any sort of stabbing task, or if I'm doing harder cutting tasks through really hard material. I'm not worried about sliding up and hurting myself on the blade. So they did a great job with that. We got a gradual thumb ramp with some aggressive jimping. It's blocky, but it's kind of sharp, so either you could kind of smooth that down with the Dremel tool, or if you don't really mind it. The one thing I'll note is if I'm doing a lot of woodscraft and I'm really pushing down hard for an extended period of time, doing feather sticks or something, I tend to just rest my finger right here, alleviating any pressure on the jimping itself, and then I'm good to go. If it rests right back here and I really push down hard for an extended period of time, it tends to bite in and be uncomfortable on the thumb. And then finally, we do have some scallops right here as well. So I could do some pinch cuts if I'm doing more like game processing or maybe food processing. It gives me a little bit of pinch right there, which is awesome. So it is going to really lock me into place just for your average hammer grip, or if I am holding it in a reverse, more self-defense roll, I am super locked into place and not going to hurt myself. And I've got a really good grip on the handle. Now this is, again, full tank construction. We got handle scales on either side, and this is kind of a rubberized polymer material. They did a great job. It's very grippy without it being overly uncomfortable. All the angles are done well. The spine comes ever so slightly up above, but you don't notice it in your grip at all, and doesn't ever create a hot spot for me anywhere on the handle. This is the thing, is that this is just a hair over ½ inch thick. So think of basically like a pocket knife thickness almost, just slightly contoured and more rounded than most of your pocket knives. That's where I think the hang up will be for some of you. For me, it's not a big issue for the way I use most of my knives in this size range. 10-15 minutes of hard use, you're good to go. I'm not going to use this as a bushcraft knife to like carve out a bowl and a spoon and sit around the fire and work with this knife for 3 hours. If I were to do that, the handle just isn't quite full enough for me. If this was more like around 0.7 inches thick, that would have been perfect, but they're trying to, again, cut down on weight and the profile of the knife. So to make it more of a self-defense, EDC, military, law enforcement blade is the original thought process with that. For all those tasks, phenomenal. And for those outdoorsmen, that's, I think, where you're either going to decide, hey, that's not a big deal to me for how I'm going to use the knife, or you would prefer a little bit fuller handle. I mean, obviously you could do custom handle scales if you wanted to, or anything else like that, but it is a rather slim handle, and I just want to make sure you are aware of that. But I have no issue with it and how I deploy the knife, how I use it, making some feather sticks, making a few notches, you're good to go. But this isn't what I would call a bushcraft style handle or a bushcraft style knife. So just keep that in consideration when you're considering the knife and the handle ergonomics. Well, folks, there you have it. I can't say enough good things about this blade. If you've been thinking about it and you like the ultralight, thin, slim, backup blade, basically, regardless if it is for more, self-defense, tactical use, there's lots of blade shapes and setups for that, lots of options. Or you're just an outdoorsman like myself and you're just looking for that really nice, compact, lightweight, multi-attachment blade for a very reasonable price. I can't recommend this knife enough. It is one of my faves of the year in this size range. So as always, thank you so much for coming over here, checking out the channel. Please subscribe, comment, like, share this video. Love to hear your thoughts. And as always, remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.